Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. On today's tutorial, I will demonstrate how to draft, cut and sew an overlap built-up neckline. Hi, my name is Ayo and welcome to 011 Clothings Tutorials. On this channel, I upload DIYs, pattern drafting and sewing tutorials. If you haven't subscribed yet, kindly do so. And do not forget to turn on the notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. So now, let's get right into the tutorial. Thank you! I'm working with the following items: tape measure, pins, paper scissors, fabric scissors. Ideally, a pencil should be used to draft a pattern. But for tutorial purpose, I'll be using these marker pens, rulers and curves, my half scale basic bodice pattern, a matching thread, a matching long zip, lining fabric, African print fabric, and some interfacing. This is my half scale basic bodice pattern, which was drafted using the BUSTIER technique. I will make use of the full front pattern for this design. I have also gone ahead to alter the pattern into a Princess Dart bustier pattern. This is not the focus of this tutorial. In case you want to learn how to do this alteration, the link on how to do this will be above and in the description box below. I have also deliberately not drawn out the front and the back neckline curves. This is because I do not want to use an arbitrary 3 inches by 3 inches and 3 inches by 1 inch for the front and the back neckline curves. I want to calculate these values myself. To do this, I will divide my bust circumference measurement by 12. My bust circumference measurement is 39 inches. Use your own bust circumference measurement. And this is 39 inches divided by 12, and this gave me a value of 3.25 inches. So for the front neckline curve, I will use a value of 3.25 inches for the front neck width and 3.25 inches also for the front neck depth. For the back neckline, I will use a value of 3.25 inches for the back neckline width. And for the back neck depth, I will divide 3.25 inches by 3. And this is equal to 1.08 inch. And I will approximate this value to 1 inch. So for the back neckline, I will use a value of 3.25 by 1 inch. And for the front, I will use a value of 3.25 by 3.25 inches. I will now go ahead and draw out the front and the back neckline curves following these values that I just calculated. I will now go ahead and alter the front and the back neckline curves into a built-up neckline. I will start with the back pattern. From the neck point, I will go ahead to measure and mark 1/4 of an inch away from the neck point on the shoulder line. I will extend the shoulder line beyond the neck point like this. And on this new extension, I will measure and mark 1/2 inch away from the neck point like this. From this 1/2 inch point, I will draw out a vertical line upwards like this. I will now measure and mark a length of 2 inches on this vertical line. I will extend the center back upwards vertically like this. I will also draw a horizontal line from the 2-inch point like this to meet up with the center back line. From this point, I will come down by half an inch. I will now connect these 2 points together with a curve like this. I will also connect these 2 points together like this with a curve to create the outer edge of the built-up neckline. So now I'm done with the back neckline alteration. I will now move over to the front neckline. Starting from the neck point, I will measure and mark 1/4 inch on the shoulder line like this. I will extend the shoulder line beyond the neck point like this. Starting from the 1/4 inch point, I will measure and mark 2 inches like this. This 2 inches is the same length as the built-up neckline for the back. Next, I will draw a line at the 2 inch point that is perpendicular to the shoulder line extension. This line should be at right angles to the shoulder line extension. I will now measure and mark half an inch upwards like this. Using a French curve, I will now connect this half an inch point to the 1/4 inch point that I marked on the shoulders, like this. I will now open up the front pattern. From the base of the front neckline curve, I will measure how deep I want the front line to be. I will use 3.5 inches for this. So the total neck depth from the upper starting line is 6 inches and 3/4. I will now connect these 3 points together like this using this hip curve. I'm using this hip curve because it is long and also because it only has a slight curve, and this is what I want for the neckline of the dress. I will use a pencil first before making it bolder with a marker pen, like this. I will now compare the lengths of the back and the front shoulders and make sure that they are equal in length. The back shoulders plus the built-up neckline is 7 inches and 1/4 in length, and the front shoulders plus the raised neckline, built-up neckline, is 7 inches long. So I will add to the length of the front neckline like this. And I will make it 7 inches and 1/4 long. So I'm adding 1/4 inch to the length of the front neckline. I will now redraw the front neckline curve like this. I will now cut out the front pattern. I will close the bust dart like this using a sellotape. I will also cut out the back pattern. So these are the front and the back pattern pieces that will be used to create the overlap built-up neckline design. I want to make a slight alteration to the center front piece so as to avoid gaping at the neckline. So at about 2 inches away from the original front neck depth, I will draw a diagonal line to the side like this. I will now fold a tiny dart at the center front that is about 1/4 of an inch wide, and I will sellotape it in place like this. I will now trim off the uneven ends at the center front like this. I have gone ahead to cut out the front and the back pattern pieces on the fabric, as you can see. These are the two front pattern pieces. I used half an inch seam allowance all around the pattern except for the side seam where I used 1.5 inches side seam allowance. I cut 2 pieces each on the African print fabric and 2 pieces on the lining fabric. On the lining pieces, I have interfaced the wrong sides of both pieces, and I've also padded the bust area, as you can see. I will now go ahead and front pieces together like this, right side to right side. After pinning, I will take it to my sewing machine and I will stitch it in place using half an inch sewing allowance. I will do the same thing for the lining pieces as well. This is the back piece. I used half an inch seam allowance all around the back pieces except for the side seam where I used 1.5 inches side seam allowance. And there is no seam allowance at the center back because there is already 1 inch zip allowance at the center back. I cut 2 pieces on the African print fabric and 2 pieces on the lining fabric. I have already interfaced the built-up neckline area on the wrong sides of the 2 lining pieces. I will now go ahead and stitch the darts in place on both the African print fabric and also the lining fabric. So now the stitching has been done, as you can see, and these are the back pieces. And as you can see, I've stitched all the darts in place and I've given them a thorough press. These are the 2 front pieces. I will now place the 2 front lining pieces on top of the African print pieces like this, right side to right side. I will pin it in place. After pinning, I will take it to my sewing machine and I will stitch it in place using half an inch sewing allowance. These are the 2 back pieces. I will also place the 2 lining pieces on top of the African print pieces like this, right side to right side. I will pin the built-up neckline in place like this. After pinning, I will take it to my sewing machine and I will stitch it in place using half an inch sewing allowance. So now the stitching has been done. After stitching the front pieces, I flip the seam allowance towards the lining piece and then I understitch the seam allowances to the necklines of the lining pieces. For the back pieces, I knock the seam allowances and then I understitch the seam allowance to the neckline of the lining pieces. I will now place the front piece on top of the back piece like this, right side to right side. I will open up the shoulders like this. I will now pin the front and the back shoulders in place like this, fabric to fabric and lining to lining, making sure that the seam lines match up. After pinning, I will take it to my sewing machine and I will stitch it in place using 1/2 inch sewing allowance. I will do the same thing for the remaining 2 pieces as well. So now the stitching has been done, as you can see. Because I don't want the zip at the center back to reach the raised neckline area, I will open up the 2 pieces like this. I will align the center back very well, making sure that the neckline seam match up. From the neckline seam, I will measure and mark 4 inches downwards on both the lining fabric and the African print fabric. I will also measure and mark 1 inch zip allowance at the center back like this. I will now go ahead and stitch it in place following the guideline that I've already drawn on the fabric. While sewing, I will make sure that the neckline seam lines match up, so I will just pin it in place like this. So now the stitching has been done, as you can see. And I've pressed open the seam allowance. I will now go ahead and sew the lower part of the dress to the bodice. I will sew in the pockets. I will also sew in the sleeves in place. And I will fix this long zip to the center back of the dress. And this is the final look of the dress. I fixed 2 press buttons to the overlap area of the bodice so as to keep the bodice firmly in place, especially when it is worn. So that's it guys, we are done. If you find this video helpful, do not forget to give it a thumbs up, drop a comment down below, share this video with your friends who are interested in sewing, and do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. See you in my next tutorial. Bye and thank you so much for watching.